If you ask me to name one of the longest mysteries of Warcraft history, I will give the answer Elun. She, or we refer it as she, has always been in a cloud of mystery, with almost zero interference to the story events so far, but when she did, she made her presence felt, and apparently her mystery finally be resolved, or at the least a bit of exposed, in the upcoming weeks as Chains of Domination proceeds. I am the Lord Frick Kalina, and today we will talk about one of my favorite lore topics of all time, Elun. I love Warcraft 3 a lot, so I love Night Owls a lot, and I am interested in the being named Elun a lot. Recently, it is revealed that Elun is actually the sister of the Winter Queen. Surprising, right? Well, let's not waste any more time and take a look at every possible outcome of this reveal. I will try to cover every possible outcome of Elun lore, so please take every theory as their own. So let's start with Eonar. So, why Elun being actually Eonar makes sense. One of the 5 pillars of creation was the Tears of Elun. Every other pillar was associated with a certain titan, Khaz'garath, Agamar, Amantul, Golganet, while this one seems a bit disconnected. Coupled with the fact that Eonar chose a place named Elunaria until Sargeras finds her, this makes sense. The theory also makes sense a bit because Titans and Eternal Ones are at the same tier in the cosmic chart. Not at the same power level, but at the same tier. There is also the Spring as Eonar and Autumn as the Winter Queen connection, which we will examine later in this video. But why it doesn't make sense? While the hints from Legion have established a connection between Eonar and Elun, I believe they were just distractions, because in truth, there are major plot holes in this theory that actually does not make sense at all. First of all, according to Khadgar's research, as he tried to open Tears of Elun, Elun was the creator of the Prime Now, Zera. I guess you all know the details, but we need a reminder. I was going through some ancient cosmology tomes when I stumbled upon a passage indicating that the Prime Nauru may have been created by Elun during the Great Ordering of Light and Shadow. If Elun did create Zera, then it stands to a reason that we could use the Tears of Elun to unlock the secrets of Lightsart, Khadgar. So, this means she is supposed to be capable of creating a Prime Nauru, so she must be ancient, really ancient as well. She has to be older than the first appearance of light and void in the physical universe. There is no way for Eonar to create a Nauru. Again, she is at the same tier with Nauru. Throughout the story of Warcraft, Elun demonstrated her power in every kind of cosmological force except Fel. She is associated with light. She claims the death of the Night Elves, so she also holds the power of death. She has a dark side associated with the void. She brings life, and she also wields arcane magic associated with order. You can argue Eonar is able to manipulate the magic of order, light, and life to a certain degree, but there is no way she can use the power of death or the void. Elun is capable of creating Night Warriors. According to lore, Night Warriors are one of the most powerful creatures in the physical universe. Such example is Tyrande herself. The power of light is too powerful, as she simply turned Torghast into a walk in the park back in 9.0, and the arcane, chaotic powers threatened destroying her body, her shell. The power of Elun is too great for a mortal to bear. Also, according to Blizzard, the Eternal Ones are Titan plus beings, and the Shadowlands predates the Titans. While I am still not sure if Elun is an Eternal One, if she is far more powerful than Eonar. So, how we have defeated Sire Denatrius so easily? First of all, we did not defeat him so easily. Secondly, throughout the fight, he actually toys us. He did not even wield Rimonia until the last phase, where he realized he was about to be defeated. While he claimed we will answer for our arrogance, actually he was the arrogant one, and that arrogance fitted him really well. At the end of the fight, we have defeated his pride, not him. So, are there any other options for Elun being the sister of the Winter Queen, but not be Eonar? Actually, there are some. So, what do I personally think in the light of the news? Elun is Azeroth. Now, I know that look. Do not look at me like that. I have just said Elun cannot be a Titan, and Azeroth is a Titan, right? So, how is this possible after all? Well, what if Azeroth is not a Titan after all? Trolls tend to name the creatures they cannot properly understand as Loas. What if Agramar was wrong when he thought Azeroth is a Titan? In truth, what if she was a being more ancient and powerful than a Titan? We cannot specify yet. This fits Elun being Azeroth all along theory, while confirming she is more than a Titan. Elun is an unnamed or a dead Eternal One. This option is more interesting than Elun being Eonar. So, what if there was another Eternal One, either unnamed or dead for a long time? Unnamed because she, just like Roval, had been exiled or left them on her own due to a disagreement, or she betrayed them just like Roval. It has been so long, my sister, after all this time, she did not abandon me, Winter Queen. Or she is dead, at least in a sense. She has been killed by the other Eternal Ones during the banishment of Roval, or Roval killed her. That is why she uses Tyrande against her at the moment. So this is why Roval must not reach the sepulchre, the tomb of Elun, a dead Eternal One. The prize Roval seek was the body or the essence of Elun herself, so he can revive her. I don't think the Eternal Ones can die, but they can be shut down by draining out their anima, maybe. The Eternal Ones were the Titans, but now this one comes from Arnet, my fellow Lorbody, and the dedicated Illidari. Eternal Ones, including Zoval, are actually Titans, but corrupted with anima. That's how they have reached the Titan plus level power. The Shadowlands Order was also created by Titans, but when Sargeras rebelled, Shadowlands left unattended, and then Primus, with other Eternal Ones, overthrew Zoval and formed this new order, Purpose, that we see today. If it's true, Elena's Winter Queen's supposed sister, then Eternal Ones, including Zoal, may actually be Titans, but they are corrupted with Anima, just like how Sargeras is corrupted by Fel. And that also explains how they have reached the Titan plus devil power. Because when abused, Anima, and with that soul magic and later death and domination magic, gives you exactly that. In this logic, we can also guess how this Shadowlands order we see was also created by the Titans to keep this power in order, by all means, but probably when Sargeras rebelled and murdered all of the other Titans, Shadowlands also left unattended. That's when the Primus with other Eternal Ones have found the chance to abuse the Anima to empower themselves so they could have overthrown Zoal from his original position, placed Arbiter, the robot, in his place, and formed this new Shadowlands order, aka Purpose, that we are naively trying to save. But meanwhile, all of their actual purpose was to abuse mortal souls to get as much anima as they can, disregarding all free will and past experiences of the mortals. This purpose would even sacrifice all of the mortals, real beings, and turned into mindless cogwheels of a machine of death, so this purpose could go on and these usurpers, led by Primus, would keep their power. That is what Shadowlands is today, and we may very well be on the wrong side of the coin as mortals, as always. What if Elune is the third sister in the sisterhood, the Autumn and the Spring? So, let's turn back to Eonar and create a sisterhood of 3 instead of 2. Well, if we are to claim Eonar is the Winter Queen's sister, in a way it makes sense, we better add the third sister into the sisterhood. Let us talk a bit about the Spring and the Autumn first, as represented in the Emerald Dream and Ardenweald. Ardenweald and the Emerald Dream are opposite blooms connected to the same tree. If the dream is the personification of life, is in the waxing stage, then Ardenweald is life when it's waning. Well, the leaf dropping down from Winter Queen's tree when she granted Anima to Ysera was a nice touch to represent the autumn. Winter Queen is closer to death than life, but she is not a full representation of death at all. It has been made clear by Blizzard that the Winter Queen is the autumn, so we can easily assume Eonar is Lifebringer and the Spring, changing the color palette from dark blue to light green. So, can we relate Eonar with a whisper back in Neolata?
The vassal of life disguises treachery. Beware the eyes of greed.
While it would seem like this line suits with her, it may also about Elune, the third and mysterious sister. You see, Elune barely intervenes in the mortal realm, but if she is truly the sister of the Winter Queen, it should not be so much of a surprise. The biggest deed of Elune so far was pulling Ysera into Ardenweald. Elune can give life and take souls into the realm of death, as I have pointed out before. So, what if she is kind of a vassal between the physical realm and the Shadowlands? One sister to breathe life, one to take care of them in the afterlife and abuse their anima, and one to ferry the souls between life and death, acting as a balancing force. I have talked about the duality of every cosmic force before and used the moon and the yin yang as references. I will put the article to description. So, here you go. One little theory about Billing Ellen being the third sister and the balancing factor between the two. Also, it has been revealed in the teaser of the new Lord Grimoire of Shadowlands, which is upcoming, that Elun can be the sister in the pantheon of life. While Eleanor represents life and the spring in an extent, she is still part of the pantheon of order. So, let's keep that in mind as well. Elun might not be as powerful as we have expected. Well, this one is the least desired option in my book, but this is also entirely possible for Elun being an overrated goddess all along for 20 years. This is one of the reasons why she barely intervenes with the events in the mortal realms, as she simply is not allowed to do so. Her power is actually pretty limited, and unfortunately, there is a whisper from Valatat which falls in line with this theory.
A remnant of power lingers in this broken temple. It must be ours. Come, enter the circle and take it. My mistake. It seems the upstart goddess still holds sway here. Oh well.
So, this is why she did not intervene when Sylvanas burned Teldrassil, as she either was not able to interfere or she simply did not care. Imagine an upstart and a selfish goddess. I wish Blizzard will tread carefully when it comes to Elun. She is one of the core elements of Warcraft lore, and even if she is an upstart goddess, I sincerely hope Blizzard will do justice to her potential when the time comes. So, how about the absurd level of power of the Night Warriors? Well, consider them as conduits of chaos. Elun is simply granting an absurd amount of power to mortals and ultimately claiming them at the end by killing them. Maybe this is her only considerable trait, to grant unbalanced power to mortals. How about the Night Warriors, the Light and Desire? So, as we have also learned recently, the Stormbright was an imposter. She was not the original Harvester of Wrath. The original Harvester's power has been stripped away and given to her long ago for reasons unknown. And we learned that Stormbright was actually a Night Warrior in life, and she is the wielder of Elun's Wrath. Why does Stormbright, being an imposter and actually being a Night Warrior, is important? She, either through her Night Warrior power or using the medallion of Elun's Wrath, forced the invading Light Army to retreat from the Ember World. And remember, the creation of the Stormborn was also a turning point for the battle. As Maldraxxus did not aid Revendreth, Stormbright created a race on her own and defeated the forces of the light. She was able to threaten Sire Denatrius himself, an Eternal One, in front of everyone to banish the Nathrezim from the Shadowlands. And Denatrius simply agreed, despite being the sire of Revendreth itself. We do not know what happened to Stormbright's world before she decided to wield the power of the Night Warrior. It is possible she embraced the power for just personal matters. The unseen guest, Nathrezim, attempts to take back the medallion of Elun's Wrath from the Stormbright, and they claim the Stormbright is not worthy to wield the power of Elun, and she stole it from someone else. If Elun is directly tied to the light or order, as so many people believe in, how the Stormbright managed to use her Wrath's power to banish the forces of the light from Revendreth. It's possible Sire Denatrius has located the original Harvester's whereabouts, so he decided to take the Wrath of Elun back from Stormlight. At the moment, Elun is tied to Revendreth as much as she is tied to Ardenweald. Once again, the matter of Elun raised more questions than answers, and to be honest, I have tired of this unending mystery. I have to agree, even this lame reveal, her being the sister of Winter Queen, provided a bunch of speculations already. I rather have decent answers in the upcoming patch about who is Elun, what is her role in the cosmic chart, and in the upcoming expansions. So, that's all for today. See you in the upcoming days as the story of the 9.1 are revealed day by day. As a lore freak, I am pretty excited for the upcoming lore, and I hope you too as well. So, please subscribe and drop a like if you like this video theory, and let me know what you think. See you in the upcoming videos. Bye bye.